The classroom was filled with laughter, but not the kind that warms hearts. It was the cruel, sharp laughter that cuts through silence and leaves wounds no one can see. On the cold linoleum floor of Ridgewood High, a girl lay trembling, clutching the shattered remains of her prosthetic arm as two varsity jocks in blue and gold jackets stood over her, sneering with satisfaction. Her books were scattered like broken dreams, and the room reeked of humiliation. Her name was Ella Carter, and this was her first week at a new school, a chance she'd prayed for, a new beginning she believed might finally bring peace. But in a heartbeat, that fragile hope was crushed beneath the weight of cruelty. Before we go on, if you believe in kindness, second chances, and standing up for what's right, please take a moment to like, comment, share, and subscribe. Stories like this deserve to be heard because they remind us of the power of empathy and how one act of courage can change everything. Ella had moved to Ridgewood with her mother just 2 weeks before. Her father, a man she barely spoke about, was away, always away. Rumors whispered through the halls that he had abandoned them, that he was in prison, that he was some kind of drifter. Ella never corrected anyone. She learned long ago that silence was safer. Her prosthetic arm, sleek, metallic, and mismatched against her soft, shy smile, was enough to make her stand out. She tried to hide it beneath sweaters, but in high school, differences are blood in the water. The first few days weren't terrible. People stared, but they didn't say much. But it only took one cruel smirk from Tyler Reed, the captain of the football team, to start the storm. He and his twin brother, Trent, ruled the halls of Ridgewood like kings, handsome, loud, and untouchable. They thrived on attention, and Ella's quiet presence was the perfect target. They called her names, mocked the way her arm clicked softly when she moved, and even once pulled her sweater sleeve down to see the robot underneath. Ella pretended not to hear them. She learned that ignoring pain sometimes hurt less than confronting it. But that day, the day everything changed, she couldn't stay silent. It started during chemistry class. The teacher had stepped out for just a minute, leaving the room buzzing with mischief. Tyler noticed Ella trying to pick up a dropped pen with her prosthetic hand. The mechanical fingers trembled slightly, struggling to grip it. A few students giggled. Tyler smirked, nudged Trent, and whispered something cruel. Before Ella could react, Trent leaned forward and snatched the pen from her hand, tossing it across the room. She bent down to retrieve it, and in that vulnerable moment, Tyler grabbed her prosthetic arm. "Let's see how strong the robot girl really is," he said, twisting it slightly. The class erupted in nervous laughter. Ella gasped, pleading for him to stop, but her voice was drowned in the chaos. Then, with a sickening snap, something gave way. The sound of breaking plastic filled the room, followed by stunned silence. Her arm, the one thing that had made her feel whole again after the accident, dangled uselessly at her side. Her eyes widened in disbelief, then filled with tears. She fell to her knees, clutching the broken limb to her chest. "Why would you do that?" she whispered, her voice trembling. But the boys just stared, suddenly unsure, the weight of what they'd done sinking in. The teacher walked in seconds later, her face turning pale as she saw Ella sobbing on the floor. Tyler and Trent stammered excuses, but there was no hiding what had happened. They were sent to the principal's office immediately, while Ella was taken to the nurse's room, her heart breaking with every step. The news spread through the school faster than wildfire. By lunch, everyone knew. The new girl with the prosthetic arm had been bullied and her arm had been broken. But that wasn't the end of it. That evening, something happened that no one expected. When the principal called Ella's emergency contact, a deep, steady voice answered. "This is Colonel David Carter," the man said. "I'll be there in 20 minutes." Within half an hour, a black SUV pulled into the school parking lot. The doors opened, and out stepped a tall, broad-shouldered man in full military uniform. The badges on his chest gleamed under the setting sun, but it was his eyes, cold, commanding, and filled with pain, that silenced everyone around him. As he walked through the halls, teachers fell silent, students froze mid-sentence. He was a figure that demanded respect without saying a word. When he reached the principal's office, Tyler and Trent were sitting there, their usual confidence replaced with fear. The colonel didn't raise his voice. He didn't need to. He looked at them, really looked at them, and said quietly, "Do you know what it's like to watch your child relearn how to live? To see her fight through months of pain just to lift a spoon again? You boys took from her something she earned with courage. But worse, you reminded her of the day she lost her arm trying to save someone else." The room went silent. Tyler blinked. "Save someone," he stammered. The colonel turned to the principal. "Tell them," he said. The principal hesitated but then nodded. "Ella's accident happened during a fire 2 years ago. She pushed 2 children out of a burning car before it exploded. The doctors said she shouldn't have survived, but she did barely. She lost her arm but saved their lives." Tyler and Trent sat frozen, the color draining from their faces. The colonel continued, his voice trembling slightly. "And now you've broken the arm that gave her a second chance. Tell me, boys, does that make you proud?" Neither of them could speak. For the first time in their lives, the Reed twins felt the crushing weight of shame. The colonel didn't ask for punishment. He simply stood, placed a steady hand on Ella's shoulder, and led her out of the room. But the silence he left behind was louder than any lecture. The next day, Ella didn't show up to school. Her absence was felt like a shadow over every hallway. The laughter seemed quieter, the gossip softer. For once, Ridgewood High didn't feel invincible. When she finally returned a week later, her arm had been repaired, but the students noticed something else had changed, not in her, but in them. Tyler and Trent approached her at lunch. Every eye in the cafeteria watched. The boys, once untouchable, stood awkwardly, holding a box wrapped in blue paper. Inside was a brand new prosthetic cover they'd raised money for, one engraved with delicate patterns and her name etched in silver. Tyler's voice shook as he apologized. He didn't make excuses. He didn't blame anyone else. He simply said, "We were cruel and we're sorry. You didn't deserve it." Ella looked at them for a long time. She could see the sincerity, the guilt, the regret. Slowly, she nodded. "I forgive you," she said quietly. And with those words, the entire cafeteria exhaled. In the weeks that followed, something extraordinary happened. Tyler and Trent began speaking up against bullying. They helped organize a fundraiser for students with disabilities. They even joined Ella in volunteering at the local hospital, where she shared her story with other kids who'd lost limbs. The girl they once mocked became their inspiration and, in time, their friend. By the end of the semester, Ridgewood High had changed. Not because of rules or punishments, but because one girl's quiet strength had reminded everyone what real courage looked like. She never wanted revenge. She just wanted peace. And in her forgiveness, she found something stronger than anger. She found healing. So if this story touched your heart, if you believe the world needs more compassion, more second chances, more people like Ella, please take a moment to like this video, share it with someone who needs hope, and subscribe to our channel for more stories that inspire. And before you go, comment below. Speech balloon. What would you have done if you saw someone like Ella being treated that way? Your words might remind someone else that kindness still matters, and that every name has a story worth hearing.